Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to take a look at the Archon WM26ii. It's a newer version from the actual WM26. We're going to do a little bit of an unboxing, what comes included with the light, some light features, modes, battery, charger, what I can recommend you, what not on it. We're going to do some, as usual, some underwater testing, so we're going to jump into the water, as well as a little bit of a pros and cons. So let's get the video started. Alright, so as you can see I have two here for proper testing, for some good dual video light testing on my actual camera tray, but for now I'm going to put one of these aside. The actual light is very nice, very beautiful, a lot of modes, but we're going to take a look at this one later. First of all, we'll start with the second most important part in a light, which is the battery pack, the power source. Here we have a 4-cell, a 4-18650, just like this one I'm holding here, inside, wrapped to a single cell. This means we do not have to charge each battery by its own. Every time we need to charge the batteries, we just have one pack where we plug in our DC plug from the actual charger, and the whole thing is charging, so we only have to do it once. The pack itself, which you can see here, is of course a quite high capacity pack. It's a 3400 milliamp hours, so it's gonna be very probable that they're actually using the NCR 18650Bs from Panasonic, which are very good cells, and we have a nominal voltage of 14.8 volts. So the pack itself is just over 50 watt hours, but this is not a very important number. The number itself is usually the capacity of the cells. We have some information, of course, give them a read through, don't throw it in a fire and things like this. I think we're all quite aware of this. And on the top we have a very beautiful made contact surface for the actual light. The pack is quite simply made, quite rugged. This is something I really always enjoy. There are some which I already used, which is just a simple pack and it doesn't feel safe at all. And here we have a nice, although it's a POM, so a plastic thing, but this is not bad. It's actually good. It's not that heavy. If it's out of aluminium, it's heavier. Good plastic part around, which holds the pack quite well. And we have a very sturdy pack. To charge the pack up, of course, we have a proper charger. The charger itself, you can see here, is a wall plug charger. We have an input of 100 to 245 volts AC, so this is a very wide range, 50 and 60 Hertz, so you can basically use it all around the world. And we have an output of 16.8 volts, which is the full, or actually the float voltage for a 4S pack from lithium-ion cells at 2 amps output. So this will charge your battery pack up if it's completely empty in around or within around 2 hours, I would say. Of course, we have also the actual charger lead to go into your wall socket, and this will be provided depending on where you are living and of course where you are buying the light. But there are many or other variants, the UK plug, the US plug. I got the EU plug because it's the one I need. The charger itself has the DC plug, which plugs into your battery, something like this, and will charge it up easier. Of course, the charger also has a LED indicator to show you how the charging status is. Green and red to show you when it's ready and finished charging. Of course, we have a lanyard, typical and very standard for every light. No matter where and from who you buy it, there's always going to be a lanyard included. As I say in many lights or many reviews before, I don't need a lanyard for a video light if I'm using it on my tray. So for you, this is always a very good piece of rope. You can open it. There is a knot usually under this plastic or this rubber tubing, which you can open the knot and use this as a rope for your bolt snaps and so you can use it. Or of course, if you're using the hand or the actual light handheld, definitely use a lanyard. There is nothing more I can recommend you than lights getting lost by not using a lanyard. I have seen it just too often. Also included we have a O-ring, a spare set of O-rings, very good. Definitely store these in a dry and mainly a dark space, so there is no light going on them, because otherwise when these are going to be worn out, these ones are also going to be falling apart. So make sure it's a dry space. And also we have a user manual. The light itself has a lot of modes. We have in general a wide angle LED, so a Cree COB chip on board LED for the wide angle, 6000 lumens. We have a smaller LED from Cree, also should be a XML, I guess, which is there for around 870, 860 lumens, as it says here, for a bit of a more spottier output. We're going to see this all working in a second. And we have a red as well as a UV output. Here it's important to say this is a real UV, this is not a blue, this is really UV output. So it's quite a good output for the actual use of UV lights. On the actual user manual, on this actual information letter, we have some things which, for example, we have the maximum brightness of 6000 lumens, 860 on the spot, and 15 watts red, 12 watts on UV. So these are actually quite high outputs. And also something I like to show you is the power indicator, which we have in the middle between the two switches, which is going to show us how much power is left in the battery. And there we have a green when it's over 70%, when it's between 70 and 40% a yellow, and between 40 to 10 red. Once it starts flashing, you don't have that long, but you still have a few percent to use, and once it's too low, it will shut down by itself, protecting the actual battery. So this is a very good thing to have. Also, something I order with it, but this is not included in every light, is the Snoot. You have the option of using a Snoot for macro videography or photography, and this is a very good and nice thing to have, although beware, it is not included in the standard pack. Here we have the Snoot, which screws onto the main light, onto the front of it. This is why we have this golden part here with this nice screwing, in this case with this nice thread to screw it in, which gets screwed on to this part, and there we have a 15mm output. And then we have two parts, inserts to smallen these outputs. So we have either an 8mm or we have a 3mm. So there we can choose whatever we want. And these also get screwed in to this actual part. So you just screw them on and you're good to go. So this is quite nice. Now before we can test this, we're gonna put the actual battery into our light. We screw it open quite easily, quite simply, and then we can put the battery inside. In here you can see, or right here you can see very beautifully the two O-rings sitting quite nicely, nice distance between the O-rings and the thread. This is always a very good thing and something I really find very good, and many don't do it that properly and they might get cut. Here we have a nice spacing between them, and of course we have some nice spring-loaded contacts for our battery connections. So screwing the whole thing together again, it's quite simple, quite easy. It takes a few turns, as every other light also around in the market, and once it's closed you're gonna feel it definitely. The light itself comes on quite easy. To use the spotty white, the red as well as the UV, you just need to press the button. Here you can see the actual spot output. Do not expect a snooty output, a very high spot output. It's quite a wide angle. It's really a wide angle. It's good for some photography, if you want to do some photography as a pilot light. If you want to use it just to focus, this is good. It gets some more light a bit further away because it has some kind of focusing, but it's definitely a very wide light. So to use it as a normal handheld diving torch is not that great. Pressing the switch again, we have the red, and pressing it again, we have the UV. And this is a real UV. I can tell you it really reflects the whites quite well, but all the rest you can't barely see the bluish. Here on the LED you can really see what I'm talking about. This is a real UV light. Okay? Important for you to understand is, as other lights, you cannot dim this. So you have a UV as well as a red output, but only on one mode, on one brightness. In the middle you can see the power indicator come on. It's very easily to read also in brighter situations, so this is quite an advantage. And to switch on the main big wide angle white output, we need to keep the switch pressed for about 3 seconds and the light will come on. Here we have 6,000 lumens. Of course we have a wide angle, so it's not that strong in the spot, but it's definitely a strong output, And if it's not 6,000, let it be 5,000 lumens, but it's definitely something around 5 to 6,000 lumens. If we press the switch again, we go down to the middle mode, which is about half this, they say. So I'm thinking about 3,000, 3,500 lumens. And now we are in this cycle. You can press it as often as you want. You only have two modes. To turn it back off, keep the switch again pressed for 3 seconds and the light will turn off. So it's that simple. One thing I just didn't mention, also included in the package standard, there is the YS mount, but included is also the adapter to the ball mount. So this is maybe important to let you know. The actual snoot now gets screwed into the front part of the light. Once you find the beginning of the thread, it's quite easy. And now you can turn on the white light, and now I'm using the 3mm. So the smallest output we have, and there you can see the snoot. The snoot works quite well. Okay, although be aware, right now the light is producing 6,000 lumens and there's only a little bit of ramen coming out. Therefore there is no spill, there is nothing around, and you really have a perfect snooty output. So this is quite good, although be aware the light gets warm very fast. So if you are really looking for a photography snoot, maybe go for one which has an optics, a real lens inside or a few lenses, so the light output actually gets projected outwards and you don't need that much of a high output like 6,000 lumens and there's almost nothing coming out. So this is something you need to be aware of, although it works perfectly because you can use it on the same light. Now, I think we already talked enough about the modes, about how it works. I would say let's jump into the water and let's see how the Archon WM26ii works underwater. Alright guys, so I hope you could get a better idea on how the Archon WM26ii performs in the actual diving environment, where I guess most of you are going to be using a diving light. And important now, just to finish off the video, a little bit of a pros and cons. What do I really like on the light? It's quite a small sized light for a 4-18650 setup. This I really mean, this is not a joke, it's quite small for the kind of setup of batteries. Usually the same light or the comparable light with the same amount of batteries inside is usually a bit thicker mainly. So this is something I like on it. It's quite lightweight, again for the 6,000 lumens of output. It has a lot of modes, also a very good thing. And of course you have the option of, although it's an optional accessory, but you can buy a snoot for it. So it might not be the best snoot in the world, but it's definitely working well. And if you already have a light, you can for quite a small amount of money buy a snoot, which gives you 3 different types of output for some photography or videography when it comes to the macro part. So this is quite good also. We have a nice 2 switches design, which is a lot easier than just 1 switch. Most lights come with 2. We have a beautiful power indicator, which is also good, and definitely also, although we don't have any security on this switch, the strongest output is going to be this 800 lumens, and they are not that bad. They're not going to get that hot, they're not going to burn anything in front of it, they're not going to burn the light. Although if the 6000 lumens come on, you might already be melting some plastic, damaging the light, so this is important to have this actual security of 3 seconds. Yeah? Of course, if you are traveling, always take the battery out, or if you want to leave it in for security reasons to make sure it stays dry also, just put some insulation tape on the actual battery part and it will insulate it off and not let any current pass through. So this is also a good option what I do when I'm traveling. The light itself also comes with the actual already adapter for the ball joint, so you can use both systems and the adapter is included. Although be aware, and now I just want to bring in another light which I just reviewed, the nore NE20. Is comparable, or something I want to compare in this case, is that this comes either with the actual YS mount or a completely different mount for the ball joint. In this you have the advantage that with the ball joint it's a lot smaller. You can see what I mean here. Although, something again, if you're using on a big video tray, this doesn't make much of a difference and even gives you some flexibility because you can move the light around. So these are all things you need to choose for yourself what is better. The difference is not at all big, but these are like small things just for you to give a thought about depending on what your needs are for your light. What do I don't like really on the light? One thing I say could be maybe a little bit better, but this is my personal opinion. If you're using the spotty output as a pilot light, this means to focus on something which is maybe a little bit further away where the video light doesn't reach that well, it's a very good thing. Although, for using it as a backup or using it as a video light for some photography, but also using it as a main diving light, the output is just too wide of an angle. It's just way too wide. If I have it like here, this is literally my output. It's not only the camera, this is literally all the same output all around. So if you're diving 2 meters away, there's not going to be any light arriving. So this is maybe one of the negative parts of this spotty output, which I think could be a bit more of a spot. But as a photographer, it's a lot better like this because you can use it as a focus light without interfering a lot in the picture and not seeing any spot on the actual final picture. Also good, of course, you have a simple charging method. You have one charger for the whole set. And something I always enjoy a lot on the Archons is just, well, they look quite good. They have a nice O-ring on the outside for some appearance, which I always like because it's very distinctive. And in general, the light is easily made and well made. As I said, the thread looks good, the O-rings are well placed, and the workmanship, very new word I'm being using, but in general it looks quite nice. So guys, as usual, if you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to not miss out on any of my next reviews about diving equipment and diving lights mainly, and I hope to see you next time. Always dive safely.